Have you ever bet Kentucky Downs? What's your thoughts about this card?
Um, yeah, I mean, it could be my favorite meet. Um, I mean, just because, 12 horse turf fields, all turf racing, like, love that part about it. I mean, it's obviously a quirky track. It's kind of unique to its own, so it can be difficult because um, actually, I like playing horses at Keeneland and stuff out or that come out of races at Kentucky Downs, but it can be difficult. It's just because it's so quirky, some horses don't like it. So you got to really pay attention to past success over the track. But and then also last year they raised the takeout rates, so um, like their win exacta pools are all garbage. They're all like 20%, like so they're kind of scumbags. So I don't like that part about it. But the pick four I think is 15%, and pick five 16%. So that's good at least. But like if they lowered their takeout, it could be one of the best betting meets. I'm been watching a lot of replays because I just looking at the card, I'm just like, okay, I want to play this stuff. So if I can get some pick fours and stuff like that that I like, I'll definitely play.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the exacta and all that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
last
the
year they raised it too. Like their purses are insanely big, so that's why they get all these full fields. But they're idiots and raised the takeout.
Yeah, because that was
But
my. I've never bet Kentucky Downs, and that was my thought looking at this card. Is like I want to do some like smaller denomination, big ticket like exactas, because you can get some like really good odds on some of these horses. But if they raise the takeout, I mean, I might as well just stick to like win bets, I guess. Daily doubles maybe.
well, that's the thing is the pick fours and stuff is like 15%. So like those are your best bets, but like the win and the daily doubles are like 20 something.
Oh, the
Like
win
it's like
too. Oh well.
yeah, they rate like that was what they
Okay.
did. Hold on, I can. I mean, let me. Somebody on Twitter, the um, Chris Larmy. I don't know. He's a professional player, and hold on, tweets out like this. I'm just gonna let me pull it up on Google Drive. I think I looked at it today. It's also like just another thing with racing. It's like you go on all these websites, and it's like you can't even find the takeout rates. It's like
No,
just
they
it's so
they never want to mention
ridiculous.
that.
It's like it's absolutely like it's just such a stone age. It's like especially with like sports betting and stuff becoming legal everywhere. It's like if you want it's the the betting transparency and stuff has to get better, and I don't know if it will. Let me see. All right, I pulled it up. Yeah, so Kentucky Downs last year raised it. Um, but okay, yeah, win play show now. I think it's 17%, exacta 19, try and super 20, double pick 3 20, but then pick 4 15 and pick 5 16. So pick 4 is pretty good, and I'm not sure if I don't think they raised it again, but that's what I think they are for now. So I guess win isn't too bad.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if
I think
compared
it
to the
was.
others,
I
it's
think it
okay.
was. Yeah, it was really good, and then they raised it, so like everyone was pissed. Like why? Like,
Who
but
in the world would pay a 20% super takeout?
it's
That's
crazy because
insane.
people don't know. People don't know because they
Yeah.
they just play the horses and then they kill their customers. It's like like they're so dumb. It's like you lower the takeout, people get paid higher and they churn more, and you win. Like you're
Sure.
gonna get more in the long run. They just don't understand that.
They
It's
talk
like if
about
a
this a
person's
lot on.
playing 20
Go ahead.
no, no, yeah, no, you go, sorry.
I was just gonna say on going in circles. If you listen to that podcast with Charles Simon and Barry, what's his name? Barry Spears. They talk about this all the time. Like the worst experience in horse racing is the fact that you can win a bet and still feel like you got ripped off because there's so many like takeouts that they don't publish, and there's changing odds at the gate from the gate to the wire. The odds change and that kind of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, at least we pick
Yeah.
the lowest takeout, pick four. Just by chance, I just saw it and said, "Let's do it."
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome racing. I mean,
It is, yeah. I was watching a lot of the
allowance
replays too.
races, 12 horse fields. It's good
Hmm.
stuff.
Really good money line odds. I was watching the replays too, and it's like a fun track. I like that it's kind of like in between the European stuff and the American stuff. It
Yeah.
looks like fun. I didn't check a lot of the last year's payouts. I probably should have, and maybe I would have caught on to some of the takeout stuff. But I assume that you can still hit some good paying like exactas, daily doubles. I think the pick four, pick three is going to be pretty fun. You're because there's so many options. You're going to get a pretty big ticket without even trying in these races, and they probably have a decent payout, I assume.
Yeah, I think the hardest part is like forming strong opinions, because it's like you can spread yourself too much, but yeah, there's prices all over the place that are pretty good. And it is a quirky track, so yeah, it's like hard to rely on. Like I would never bet big on a short priced horse at Kentucky Downs
No, that's
ever.
insane.
Like I don't care if it's like City of Troy
Yeah.
or some monster turf horse. Like it doesn't like I would never trust a short price, but that's good. I like betting bet a little to win a lot, get the long shots.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with the race eight, 6.5 furlongs on turf, obviously. These are some big purses. I don't know if it's just the first week or if Kentucky Downs always does this. $100,000 optional claimer, and this is one of the like lower purse, or it's a $210,000 purse, and that's like average for this day. It seems like.
Yeah, I think the meet's only 2 weeks, but yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
their thing. They're huge purses, and that's what gets the big fields and stuff. But it could be the best track in racing. They just have to lower the takeout, like we said earlier.
This one, I think I kind of saw like a slower pace, and I went with a couple horses toward the front. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, these 6.5 furlongs are going to be tough. I got to see how they kind of play out. Because it's pretty interesting. Yeah, you're getting a lot of 5 furlong horses stretching out or mile horses cutting back. So, um, yeah, I agree. This race doesn't have a lot of pace. Um, would you want me to talk about my horses?
Yeah, go in on it if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, my top two are I landed on the two maker horses. One's a speed horse, the 10 Riley's Redemption. Switched to the turf last time, or two starts back, an allowance race, 5 furlongs in Indiana. First time turf for Maker in a long time. Had raced some other races on the turf prior, but switched back to the turf for Maker and got to 3 to 5, 43 flat, and drew off. And then last time 5 furlong sprint on the yielding turf in a stakes race. Was along the rail, but had to check really hard, and then tried to rally, but you can't really check in a 5 furlong race and have really much of a chance. So you can forgive that effort. I think, like you said, there's not a ton of speed in this race. She's got a ton of early speed. She'll probably go to the front, and I think she's got a big shot. And then the other one is the 12 Tequila. How do you say that? But
Tequilera.
um, Tequila. Yeah, there you go. And she's been off a little bit, but won a Kentucky Downs at allowance race at 20 to 1 last fall. It's been racing in some stakes races, ran some pretty solid races routing. Now cutting back to the 6.5. So it looks like, and she was just, you can kind of ignore the race on synthetic last time. So I think those two are my top two at decent prices. The two maker horses.
Okay, I like that Riley's redemption pick. I'll have to take another look at her. But my two, I had two as well. On top, I had the 12 Tequilera. I like Julian Leperoux here. It looked like he cleaned up pretty well last meet. I like that last year Kentucky Down run. I think this race will set up pretty similarly. I guess it's just a question if she's in the same form. And that was a close race if you look at the on Brisnet. 22 6.5 furlong races in last year's meet, and a third of them came down to the wire. So yeah, these sprints are going to have a lot of that, like just like three or four horses within like half a length of each other at the finish. So it's hard to like. I feel like even just picking two horses is it's like still a lot up in the air that can happen in 6.5 furlongs. But I like her on top, and she looks like a strong runner. And then underneath, I went with the 7. All I Want Is You with Joel Rosario. It has some good finishing speed, and it shouldn't be too far back. Hopefully, they don't place her too far back, 2 or 3 lengths off maybe at the stretch. And it's a long stretch run at the Kentucky Downs track, and I think that works out for some of these just off the pace, like finishing horses, because it gives them such a long distance and a lot of room to just catch up to any early speed. And I thought she looked a bit stronger than some of these other off the pace horses that might be too far back at the stretch run. Yeah, so those are my two: 12 Particular and All I Want Is You, the 7.
Yeah, yeah, I like the 7 too. Two back at Churchill, got a really bad trip as a favorite, and won nicely last time. So definitely one that can win. I think she might be the favorite, maybe in here off that last win. So um, that's kind of my only knock. But then also I'll mention the number 5, Laura's Charm. Um, Finished ahead, had a better trip, but had finished ahead of the horse I liked, Riley's Redemption, last time, and has run really well since in her turf races since switching back to the turf. So I'll just mention that one. But yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna take another look at those two horses because I might just throw some more early speed on by post time. We'll go to the 9, another 6.5 furlong turf sprint, $190,000 purse, fillies and mares. I saw a little bit similar type race. I think there might be a little bit more early speed, um, but maybe not that fast a fraction still. I spread out a little bit in this race. I went with 3 different horses. I'll just start it off with the 1 Moonspun. Switching to Jose Ortiz. Some pretty good early speed in the last few. This is only the third after Maiden, which I love, and you're seeing some pretty maybe improvement or at least consistently good runs from this horse. I like the inside speed. If you look at last year's meet, it was definitely favoring inside speed on the sprints. It seems like these 6.5 furlong sprints are kind of right at the beginning of that outside turn on the track. So if you're outside, you're kind of having to cross a long diagonal to get toward the rail at that outside turn. So that's definitely something I'm looking for in these races. If I can find it, is any horses close to the rail with inside speed, and Moonspun fit that category. I like Jose Ortiz on there. Should be able to keep her pretty close to the pace, if not the pacemaker, and has been running solidly at this class um, ever since the maiden. So had her on top. Underneath, I got two more. I got the 12, Sam's Treasure. This is only her second on turf, but has been improving since her maiden pretty strongly. Blinker off on this race. I don't know how to feel about that, but I like her coming from the outside with some speed. Probably would end up kind of just a tracking position. So again, kind of leaning into that like a sustained speed horse in that long stretch run, maybe catching up, finishing them off late. Um, Not a huge winning percentage for Wesley Ward there to turf, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about dirt to turf purposes a lot. If they look pretty good on dirt and the trainer thinks it's a good fit, I'll risk it. This could be the favorite, I guess, this race, which now that I'm looking at it again, I don't know if I love the favorite, not having much turf experience, but
Yeah, I hate that horse for that reason. 12
yeah.
post Ward, if she was a good turf horse, she would have been running on the turf. Like turf's his specialty. Debuted on the turf. Yeah, it has been running good. I mean, ran some good races at Saratoga, but 12 post Rosario probably the favorite. Blinkers like I feel like they're just trying to. He's been trying to get a win with this horse, and she hasn't really gone over the hump. But he's switching her back to turf. She's not even really bred for the turf, so that's a favorite. I'm definitely fading.
Okay, yeah, that might be a good fade, honestly, if you're um, avoiding the favorites in these races. Now that I'm taking a second look, this is one that I could possibly scratch off. But yeah, I might leave her on just for the early speed from the outside angle. Taking a second look, I'm not as sold on her. I do have one more horse I'll throw in real quick. It's the 6, Don't Say It. Again, looked good in the maiden. This is a little bit of a stretch out, but it's a Brad Cox horse. 27%, 26% maiden win last race. Like all these early career horses are pretty strong for him. Lou Machado got the win in the maiden. This is the second race with Lasix and should be just maybe a tracking position again. Um, but with second time Lasix, I like in these sprint races. Sometimes it gives the horses a little more endurance in the stretch run, which again, that's something I'm looking for in a lot of these races. Is like which of the horses kind of can take advantage of that long stretch run in Kentucky Downs. So I put Don't Say It on there as the third horse I like, possibly the second maybe.
Nice. Yeah, I like a long shot a lot in this race. I had the 1 and the 2 as backups. Um, Moonspun 7-2, like you said, very logical, and the 2 Storm Miami, getting back to turf. Um, hasn't really run a bad race, and it's kind of probably needed that cutback in distance from her mile races on the turf. Um, but the one I really like in here is the 7 La Forêt, La Forêt. I don't
Oh yeah,
know,
I took a
probably
long look at
French.
that horse too.
Yeah, I just love this horse's maiden score. I
Hmm.
mean, the pace was decently hot, but not like the flow of the race. She was really the only one motoring like she was from the back of the pack, and she was fanned into the parking lot from the 10 post, just circled the field. And I just thought that was a really, really impressive maiden breaker. So, uh, second career grass race, Catalano, 33%, so 5 for 15 this year. with a slightly positive ROI. So um, it's not like his horses just fire off on debut and then fade. But yeah, the 7. I don't know. I just think that filly can be really take a really big jump up in her second race just because of how impressive I thought that maiden win was last time.
Yeah, I might actually even make an audible, and I would maybe replace Sam's Treasure on my ticket with La Foray because I like that horse too, and I think she even fits that profile a bit more. I'm looking for that, like that stretch run. Like she really motored in the second half of that maiden and just kept on moving and adding another furlong with the good workouts. Um, I think I might like that angle a bit more. And I think the fractions in this race are going to be pretty similar to what she saw in the maiden. Maybe a little slower, but again, I don't. I think the long stretch run might suit her. So I'll make that audible. Actually, I'm going to change those voices out. Just going to
Nice.
copy you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, you're switching from a 5-2 to a 12-1 too,
Yeah,
so you're getting a
that
lot
as
more
well
value.
at Kentucky Downs seems like the smart move. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think with the 5, the pace is going to be pretty quick. The Ravelli horse, he's surprise. I mean, 44-1 last time at Hawthorne. Um, I think she'll be bet more than that, but I mean, also I think the 1, just because he's from the 1 post, has got to be up close. The 12 from the 12 has got to go. So yeah, I'm not sure it'll be scorching, but I think there'll be a decent amount of pace.
Yeah, at least similar to that last one out for La Foray, which is just like slightly above average. So anything in that range should suit her,
Yeah.
I think. On to the 10, the first route. The big ass fans tap it. That's a funny name. 500,000 in purse. I like a lot of horses and just in general in this race. Like I watch them a lot in other races. Not a lot of pace in this one. There was like a couple horses that consistently set the pace and get run down, and I think you're going to see a ton of that in the stretch run at Kentucky Downs this meet. You're just going to see pace horses getting run down late, and that's why you see a lot of these races coming down to the wire. This is a mile. Okay, there was only 2 races last meet in a mile, so maybe less than the 6.5 furlong, but you're still going to see a ton of that. So I think this is a slower pace again, with a lot of finishing pace and some middle race pace. Did I start us off last time? Do you want to start off with your horses here?
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I like some bombs in this race. So the 2 logical horses are the 5 and the 10. Um, the 5, fantastic again, set up was pressing a really quick pace behind a really good horse. Last time in the grade 1, held on for second. Now Ward's coming back to Kentucky, and the 10 chasing the crown, running behind Ottoman Fleet. So those 2 horses can win, but they're going to be short prices, and I just like some bombs in here off some tough trips. So I'll mention 3 prices. The first is the 2 20-1 morning line. Um, Kind of broke out last time, and then it was in a stakes race going a mile and was fanned wide. It was kind of a merry-go-round race, slow pace, and still finished really strongly. So I think that race was a lot better than it looks. Strong late pace figure behind a slow pace, and should work out a good trip from the inside post. Cassie, um, his horses have been running off the screen at Saratoga. So all of his runners I'm taking a second look at, and I like that horse's last race. Um, oh yeah, what was the other one? Okay, the 8 was the other decent price I liked. Harlan Estate. last time. Made a nice wide move. It was coming off a little bit of a break. I'm going a mile and an eighth. So a little second off of that break. I like that race at Saratoga a lot, and has 1 for 1 at Kentucky Downs. So has won this race actually at 37 to 1, and I think he's kind of rounding back into form. So that's another one. 10 to 1 this time. Won this race last year, and then one I'm not sure I'll add, but I'll just mention this number 3 Siege of Boston. Um, Ran well last time as the favorite. Just couldn't quite get there, but that was going a mile and a quarter, getting a big cut back in distance, and will still be forwardly placed. So kind of getting some class relief and should get a good trip. So, but the 2 and the 8 are the prices I like in here.
Okay, nice. We went kind of different ways here a little bit. I am fading the 5 Fantastic again. I think if he puts on the fractions he's put up on turf before, that's going to just set up perfectly for all the late speed in this race. And those were at a mile as well, one of those with Frankie Dettori. So I did fade that horse. I went with the 10 Chasing the Crown, like you mentioned. I do have to include this favorite. Um, I think she's looked a lot better, or she's looked a lot classier than some of the other horses in this race. And consistently, like both of her last finishes were just behind Autumn and Fleet, who I think is a pretty solid horse. Um,
Yeah,
maybe,
I agree. The one last time too, she was like actually both. They were kind of dominated by front runners, and he was kind of making up ground in the stretch. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the most likely winner. I think I'll probably have to include him.
yeah, I also has a bit more experience off Lasix. 2 of 5 at the distance, 5 of 5 in the money. Best or second best speed figures at the distance in this pack. I, I I think it's a hard favorite for me to leave off here, but I like you liked a couple bombs in this race. I Before I mention the second one, I'll say I looked really long at Siege of Boston and Irish Aces, and I think they both make a lot of sense in this race. Between the two of them, it would be hard for me to say like one over the other. Maybe Irish Aces just because of Brandon Walsh and Tyler Gaffalione. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just both of those horses just have just been finishing second like every
Yeah,
race this year, and I think like for their mid price here in this race, yeah, there's a couple bombs I like more. I like the Harlan Estate. It, I just didn't include him. My cutoff, my second horse, I went with Eamon, 20 to 1, the 7 Paco Lopez has some of the better late speed in this race, and I think the speed figures don't maybe do it justice in some of the races. And I like the angle that it's a turf sprinter stretching out a little bit with some good late speed. Again, that's just kind of the profile I'm going with here a lot for the first day of this meet, at least until I see otherwise. Is like which horses are going to be running long and hard in that stretch. And Eamon kind of fit the bill in at 20 to 1. I think I preferred her over some of these other horses that have a pretty similar profile, but like yeah, like Irish Aces 6 to 1. That's probably gonna take more money. Siege of Boston might go down a little bit. So I just like that angle of like a sprinter stretching out. Hasn't won here at Kentucky Downs, but I don't know how much to read into like past results like that in Kentucky Downs. Like still only lost by like look their last race last meet here they lost by a length but they came in 7th place like that's a lot of those races here so I'm gonna take a shot on the long shot 20 to 1 even.
yeah, I like that. That is kind of what shied me away was 0 for 3 hasn't hit the board, but you're right. I mean, that was a grade 2 as well, only beating a length, 40 to 1, and has been running huge late pace figures. Probably wants the extra furlong. Um, yeah, I definitely think that I like that pick. good. It's a really solid work after that last race too.
Yeah, some good workouts in general. And his race like has been racing like super tough competition. Had lost to
Yeah.
Coppola, Arzak, Cogburn, Grooms all better, and then a couple Arzak again, Witty. This is I think this is a little bit of um a class relief, even if maybe on paper it's not. They've been up against some crazy fractions and speed recently, so for 20 to 1, I gotta throw it in.
Yeah, I like that. I'm mad in that. I'll be 278 in here,
Okay.
and probably the 10 too, but sadly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll see. What happens with scratches and everything. I'm trying to keep these tickets in general for the show, and also just here at Kentucky Downs. I don't know what to expect, so I don't want to spread too thick the first few days and just like completely be off on some bias or something. But yeah, I'll probably keep the favorite on there, and then Eamon, and if I have room underneath, I might add maybe Harlem, maybe. I like the Miranda rights too. I'll take another look before post time, see what's up. On to the 11 1 mile on turf, a maiden 170,000. So this is where we get paid, but I kind of went chalky in this race. I didn't. Some of the long shots that have experience have put up some bad fractions, some bad speed figures as well, and I think there's some classier horses coming into this race. Um, a lot of nominations entries in this race. So I guess we'll see who gets scratched, which of the all also availables get in. It's a 2-year-old race as well, which I'm not an amazing 2-year-old handicapper. Um, yeah, but I'll start us off. I went with the one clock tower, just kind of going with the early inside speed bias, decent fractions. Has experience of the mile, even though it was off track, it was off turf. I'll take that in a 2-year-old race. I'll take a horse that has the experience of the mile going into a mile race over horses that have only ran at 5.5 or 6 furlongs. Good speed figure last out. Switches to Jaime Spencer here over John Velasquez. I would like John back on this race. And I don't know, maybe the inside post position is a bit of a fade for maidens, even at Kentucky Downs. I'm not really sure, but I'm willing to risk it on a kind of wonky track that doesn't you don't get the handicap it a lot of the year. So I'm not gonna fade it. I'm not gonna fade the inside speed just because of that. So I went with the one. I also had the outside horse, the 12 Chapman's Peak, Brad Cox, 2-year-old, 22% first time starter, Florent Giroux, the Flo Cox combo. I'm gonna go with that combo in a race that I can't draw a lot of lines between the horses. Pretty good workouts. Was working out at Ellis, I see, and got a handily workout at the gate, which is in our out of gate work. Kind of weird workouts, but decent fractions. Have you ever seen that? A handily workout out of Ellis Park? That's usually like from California, right?
Um, yeah, no, Ellis is the Kentucky track
Yeah,
they're
but
running at now.
they usually do. Usually, don't see a
Oh,
handily workout unless it's
yeah,
like in California.
you're right. Handily from the gate. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's crazy.
That's kind of weird. I don't know if I like that or don't like it, but it
Yeah.
seems like they're trying to get this horse as ready as they can. So Florence on him, um, trainer jockey Brad Cox, Florence Giroux, 27% last 60. I like it. It's coming from the outside. I don't know if that's too much to overcome for these young horses, but I'm gonna take him. And then I also had the horse just inside of him, Geometry, with Frankie the Tory. Frankie and Jonathan, 33%. Well, 1 out of 3 in the last 60. Some good workouts. Again, August 4th out of Ellis, handily at the gate. That's interesting. I guess that's an angle they're using with these Kentucky Downs horses a little bit. Just trying to get them ready for something a little challenging. I'm not really sure. That's interesting, but I like just what I'm seeing from the workouts. I like the Frankie the Tories on him. Again, coming from the outside, we'll see. I took some way outside and some way inside horses here, but trying to just go with any speed horses really to outrun some of these slower, um, not great speed figure 2 year old maidens. What did you make of this race?
Yeah, I agree. It's a difficult race. I agree. The 1, 11, and 12 are probably the most logical. Um, 11 and 12, good first time starter trainers, well bred for the turf, both of those. But it is tough outside posts. First time 2-year old, the one clock tower, getting turf for the first time ran by far the fastest race. I'd throw in the 4 major mischief 10-1 for Mott, bred for the turf. Um, can't see the purchase price, but into mischief, conquest, the turf, and working decent. There is a um, I do like one big price that has run though, and that's the 8 Sergeant Caps. Um, not the fastest figure last time, but I thought took a huge step forward moving on to the turf, even though not really bred for it. But this colt, he was kind of bumped hard at the break. It wasn't a clean break, and then moved early on the backstretch, kind of chased the pace 3 wide. Um, that was a really big race. First time turf, and it's a small barn, 13 starters on the year. It's yet to win a race, so it's going to be a big price. But anytime a horse, especially a young horse, switches like that and takes as big as of a step forward as he did, that catches my attention. I like that. So that's my big price in the last race that I like.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, if I can afford to add that one, I'm gonna throw it down because I like that angle. That's a good call out. It's an early speed horse. It finished pretty well that last race. Um, okay, I like it. Yeah, that last race, I don't know. 2 year old races are harder than maiden races in general. It's kind of a niche that I'm not too good at, but yeah, if I could spread to that last, add 4 on there and get the 8 maybe in, I'm not feeling too bad about finishing on those.
Yeah,
Definitely got some good prices in the other races if we can hit on those.
yeah. The way I'll probably play it is I'll probably single the 7 in race 9. That was like my 12-1. That what was that horse?
LaForest.
Um, I'll play a ticket with first singled and then spreading in this final leg, and then I'll play one using a few others in that race, and then single in the 8. I think that's where I'll do it. Where if I can just get one of those 2 long shots home, I'll get paid. And if you get another price in the other legs, it could be a big ticket for pretty cheap.
Yeah, that makes sense. You can do some cool configurations, I think, with all the different prices and large
Yep.
fields in these Kentucky Downs races. It seems like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to wake up and see the scratches and stuff because it changed a lot. Yeah, you're right. A lot of these have like 4 or 5 entered. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping. I think I don't think I'll play the first half of the card. I'll just kind of watch. But I'll handicap it and just kind of see, if my, if what you're thinking is going to happen is happening, and or if it's just completely chaos.
Yeah, I've got a similar plan. I'm probably gonna watch as close as I can the first half. Uh, I haven't planned out any early bets, so I'll just play it that way. And yeah, if I see the early speed on the sprints or hitting or something like that, I'm slamming some of those horses we talked about.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah, it
guess
seems like
let's
there's a bunch of maiden races in the beginning too that'll
yeah,
be
I'll see.
difficult.
There's quite a few. Do you have if you were to do a like a win bet or an exact out of these four? Do you have a bet that you like better than the rest right now? Would it be that La 4A
Um,
horse?
yeah, that would probably be my win bet
Yeah, 12
or
to 1.
exacta key with that one with maybe the 1 and 2 in there. But yeah, probably I'd say that my two win bets or I might even play. I mean, I don't. I probably won't play the double with the takeout because they're but 8, 8, 10 into that horse in that race would be a bet a different track maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that as well with the exactas. Like, is it even worth playing or just maybe doing pick threes on top or something? I don't know. But yeah. All right. Let me do a little
Yeah.
quick review of my ticket. So I went race 8, Tequilera the 12. All I Want Is You the 7. Race 9, Moonspun the 1. Sam's Treasure the 12. And Don't Say It the 6. Race 10, Chasing Crown the 10. And Eamon the 7. And then the last race, race 11, the 1, Clock Tower, the 12, Chapman's Peak, and the 11, Geometry. And in 1 second, I'll say how much that ticket costs. Okay, if you play that straight, that's an $18 ticket. Plenty of room to add a horse on or two. Or if you single one of these legs, you can definitely get some cool underneath horses that maybe are worth the shot that we talked about. Yeah, so excited to see what those any scratches are and see how I narrow it down to the final ticket.
Yeah, especially if you're single and if you can't single in that other race where you're like 4 deep, uh, you can go 5 deep for, an extra dollar. It's more of those when you go from 1 to 2 horses or 2 to 3, those are the bigger jumps,
Yeah,
in combinations. Yes, that's the way I like to play it is single single the prices when I like them, and then, um that's the way I'll probably play it is I'll play 10, 12, with 7 in race 9, then spread in race 10, spread in race 11, and then I'll play another one 10, 12, 7, 1, 2. Try and get those 3 prices in race 10, and then maybe single the 8, or maybe add one other horse in the um, one of those first time starters if I can choose one of them. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool sequence, and I think we can definitely these these Kentucky Down races with 12 horses and racers definitely opportunities to bet a little to win a lot, which is great.
yeah, absolutely. And in race 9, sorry, I said I was going to change out Sam's Treasure for La 4A. So I'll do that, but you can even play both of those horses and add on your long shot in race 11. That's a $32 ticket. I'll probably end up looking at something like that in the end for a whole ticket, but yeah, that's my
Yeah.
ticket. Any final thoughts on this Kentucky Downs opening day?
Not really. Just yeah, people play the pick fours if you're gonna play, or the pick five. Don't mess around with some of the huge takeouts, and hopefully we crush it and keep playing Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, hopefully we crush these picks and no one bets in their terrible exacta pulls and they have to lower the takeout.
Yeah, last year they tried to do like a horse player boycott on Twitter of Kentucky Downs. Not sure if it worked, but
Doesn't
I
seem
don't
like
think they increased any I don't think they increased anything this year at least, so but yeah, it's crazy. Takeout's a joke. They gotta figure it out now that they're competing with sports. It's like, yeah, no other gambling game is it's like 10% is the juice. It's not.
yeah. Maybe you're betting heavy NFL favorites or something, but yeah, you can definitely find better stuff in sports right now compared to 20% on the exacta bet.
Yeah, it's insane. But 15% pick four is not bad.
No, that's I'll take that over the other bets. That's kind of on par with some of these other tracks right now.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for hopping on with this with me, Mr. Conductor.
Anytime.